still can't believe Mazda launched brand new inline-six engines with the CX-60. Like, that's a big risk. I mean, it's awesome, but I can't imagine any other brands taking such a risk when every other car manufacturer seems to be going all out on EV technology. And then to add a diesel to the mix, it's outrageous. Mazda's SUV lineup is pretty confusing at the moment, and soon Mazda Australia will welcome more very similar models. So you'll have the CX-60, 70, 80 and 90, and all look pretty much identical. With the 60, there are 3 different powertrain options and 3 different trim lines, all interchangeable too, which is great as you can have the best powertrain with the cheapest spec and vice versa. Here we're looking at the top Azami, but with probably the least popular engine, the diesel. Priced from around 75 grand, it is very expensive for a mid-size Mazda, historically anyway. But the company is pitching this into the premium market segment. So that means taking on the likes of the Audi Q5, BMW X3 and Mercedes GLC, as well as perhaps more directly the Lexus NX. Taking a look inside, Mazda is definitely off to a good start. The interior is beautiful. Lots of quality materials create a clear luxury atmosphere. I love the way the decor is split up with different colours and tones, so it gives off more depth, a more 3D effect. Some of the switchgear does seem a little bit cheap in my opinion, like the hand controller for the infotainment. It's not yuck, but with simple black plastic buttons and a knob, it just doesn't really match the price and the luxury target. Rear seat room is decent. It's a bit roomier than a CX-5, for example, measuring 165mm longer overall. 40mm of that is in the wheelbase. Climate vents, seat heating, and multiple charging ports, including a household socket, means it is great for long-distance touring with the kids. Boot space measures in at 477 litres. For comparison, the CX-5 presents 438 litres. It's good to see flip-down tabs on the wall for the rear seats, and a 12-volt socket. A space-saver spare wheel sits under the floor. Okay, so out on the road now. This diesel engine, it is a bit rough and a bit noisy, in my opinion, compared with the premium rivals. And let's not forget, this does now compete with, you know, the Audi Q5, BMW X3 and Mercedes GLC and so on. So this has to be at a higher level than Mazda's normal stuff. And I think it is, yeah, just a bit rough compared with those diesel offerings. It's a little bit noisy too, especially when it's cold and in the lower RPM. But even when you're sort of in the mid-range, I'll just slow down a bit and give it a bit of throttle so you can hear it. So really low down, you can hear there was a bit of a clatter there, like actual clattering, which you don't get from some of the premium rivals. And then when you rev it out, it has this kind of whirring sound. There are some points of the rev range where it has a bit of a nice inline-six sing to it. But yeah, overall, I think it's a little bit noisy and a bit rough compared with its rivals. It does provide good acceleration and good punch, good response as well. The only thing that I don't like about the sort of acceleration, I'll just turn the iStop back on. I like to leave that off, but as you're coasting along and you take your foot off the accelerator, the engine will actually turn off completely, eventually. Doesn't want to do it right now, but it will actually turn off completely. Volkswagen have been doing this for a while. It's called coasting. And once it does, there we go, so it's turned off completely. So it's rolling along. If I put some throttle on, and I mean just a tiny bit, like rest my foot on the pedal just, it tries to drive in EV mode, but it doesn't have enough power to do that. So it has this little hesitating moment where it's thinking, oh, maybe I can do this in EV mode, and then it thinks, oh no I can't, and it starts the diesel engine back up again. But that moment, there's this kind of weird sluggishness as you're pushing the accelerator, and I'm talking just fraction of pressure on the pedal. So I'll just push it just a little bit, and it's sort of this hesitating, and then it kicks in, and it actually pushes you in the back just a little bit, especially as the driver. The passengers might not be able to feel it as much, but because you've got your foot there, you're expecting a response, and it's not actually happening at the same time as when you put your foot down. So I think there's a better system out there. I think there are better systems out there of that type of coasting function. I think the single clutch automated sort of manual first gear is what is, that's why they've put that in there, so it can do that. But I just don't think it's very smooth, that whole process. It might save fuel though, so that's a good thing. Speaking of fuel, this actually, I'm finding anyway, this actually is better on economy driving around the city and suburbs and things, and even country roads like this, because we did a bit of a highway run from Sydney to Canberra over the weekend, and the economy, or the fuel consumption, sorry, went up to 6.3, whereas it was down to about 6 to 6.1 before that. So I feel like, yeah, the EV sort of, the EV side of it, or the mild hybrid side of it, seems to be much more beneficial when you're in slower conditions, below sort of 80 kilometers an hour, doing a bit of stop starting to get that little battery charged up, and then, yeah, really maximizing the potential of the electric side of things. But even so, 6.3 is very good in the real world anyway, and the performance is quite good. I'll just slow down a bit and give you a bit of a kick down. We're going to slow down to a slower speed zone, but slow down to 40. A little bit of a hesitation there. Yeah, it goes really well, and it actually sings, as you just saw it, up in the higher rev range, it actually sings all right. It's just the sort of mid-range and lower RPM that it just sounds a bit rough. In terms of the ride and handling, I think this suffers a similar problem as the CX-90, whereby the smaller bumps aren't actually that comfortable. It kind of jolts around a bit, and they're pretty harsh, but then when you hit bigger bumps, it's revealed that, no, it's actually pretty soft. It's kind of the wrong way around, in my opinion. You want the comfort on the smaller bumps, but then you want it to tension up a bit and be a bit more braced on the bigger bumps, so they don't get sent through to you. I just think it's probably needs a bit more work. I'm not sure if Mazda has worked with, well, it hasn't worked with these inline six engines for very long. I'm not sure if that's got to do with it, with the weight over the front end. But yeah, it's just not quite right, in my opinion. It just needs a little bit of tuning. But the handling is quite nice though. The steering feels good around corners. It doesn't go all weird and heavy. It feels like it wants to be here, in other words. It's just the suspension just needs a little bit more tuning, in my opinion. So I'm gonna come over this crest here. A lot of bumps. It's staying very stable. It sort of skipped over that bump there, but yeah, it feels pretty solid, and it kind of needs to, remembering that this goes up against the German rivals, which all feel quite solid on the road. It's got that premium feel, and this does too, to that extent. All right, let's head out now to do the performance test and see what it goes like.